Is this you when someone asks you to look at a spreadsheet?
Hey, everybody. Oh my God, some of my favorite people in the chat. So make sure you tell me if you can't see my screen or hear me. So we're going to go ahead and dive into some sheets. Heather is not the driver of the struggle bus on anything. Thank you for coming to the queue. You'll be able to find this recording right here with the same link. So I have shared, I'm going to share my spell book with you. It's not necessarily a slide deck. Feel free to make your own copy. I am Bonnie Chalette. I am a definitely totally Ravenclaw. And you can follow me on Twitter at Bonnie Chalette. It's pretty straightforward. And this is my amazingly photoshopped job of me on rowing a Ravenclaw's head. Body. So you can find a link to this, and I can drop this in the chat as well. This spell book at bit.ly/EBRGemino. I do not have it where it makes an automatic copy, because if I wanted you to have a copy that I might update as well. This is only like my second time doing this presentation, so I may make some changes. So you can make your own copy by all means, but if you wanted to keep up with my edits, this is the direct link. And I'm going to ask you to go to this bit.ly. I'm going to make my screen a little bigger. Because it's, I want you to play with some data. So this is where, I know a lot of people are nervous because you're like, I'm going to break my data. I'm going to break my, I don't want to mess with my test scores. What if I break it? It's totally cool. So I want to make sure that you have something to play with and something that's hands-on. So if you go to this bit.ly, it's going to take you to some data we're going to play with today. And you also notice I made little comments in a lot of the cells because just in case I forget what I was trying to do. So you can find this slide deck right here, and you can make your own copy, or you can keep mine. So make sure you go to these two bit.lys. There might be too much Harry Potter here. Like I'm at Hogwarts, and then we are in the potions room in the background. I couldn't, you can see my potions room. So if I remove it. So make sure you put any comments or questions you have in the chat, or if you need me to go back over something. I tried to put some gifts in there, and I'm going to build more out on this. So let's go ahead and dive into our data. Like I said, it's going to ask me to make a copy of this, but sometimes I still change this. So if you want to do another one later, I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a second so I can share everything. Once again, beautiful day at Hogwarts. This is clearly not England, because this is not what England looks like. Sorry, my Brits. They know though. So here's the matrix. And so right here, we're going to dive into this data for Muggles. And it's okay if you're a Muggle. My daughter got very offended when I called her that one time, and I was like, well, somebody needs to tell you, and it's okay. So right here, I've got something like you might see. I've got the test scores, some student ID, something that's very similar to what you would need to do in the classroom. So we're going to start with OWLs. Nothing like too crazy, but things that might help you once you get some data set. Because I know like we get tons of data, all these test scores and everything, but what do you do with it? So I'm going to talk about checkboxes, some conditional formatting is always super popular, splitting text, exploring charts, transposing data, which is super neat, and I wanted to call it Levy Corpus. And then, I'm actually very busy, but I really took time out of my day to find spells that matched with these. And then we're going to talk about version history. Real quick, too, for my librarians or anybody that needs to make barcodes. I'm going to start with that because it's one of my favorite things, and I rarely talk about it. A lot of times now, like we have too many students. You can't, you need something to do all these names. And like I said, if I got any librarians in the house, they're like queen of the barcodes. They got the little gun. You can change any numbers into a barcode on sheets. It is a font right here. And now if I need to scan anybody's name, right here, I got a barcode. You print out labels that way. Anything like that. If you need a barcode, I know it's super fun. Like if you might only have one use for it all year, but isn't that amazing? Let me check the chat real quick. Oh, gee, man, so much love in the chat. Favorite people. So I got some barcodes made for my group. I'm going to delete this column just for right now. But the next thing I want to do is talk about checkboxes. I have some different tabs down here. I'm going to jump into conditional formatting practice. I'm going to kind of skip around. My apologies. Because I want to show you something that not everybody knows. You might be already ready for your NEWTs. Once again, I'm actually very busy, so please don't think I'm nuts, but it's just fun. Right here, you highlight the area you want to use, and you can just enter a checkbox really quickly. And that's super neat. It counts, like if you're ever using a formula thing, it counts as true. But like say I check right here, this is where I can work into that conditional formatting. And I'll repeat this. But I can do count A. You can tell that, I can change it where it'll show it. Like I did this for a principal once, and you submitted a form and it checked it off as you submitted it. So like end of the year checkout. If you're interested in that too, reach out to me. I have all that information. You can write like if this equals 7, yay. So you can count it and then celebrate. So like I said, if you've got a long list, you want to show everybody that they're done. If you just want to be able to check off people as you go, checkboxes are super cool. And even if you don't have to read it, even if you, don't write some crazy formula that counts it, you can this is a good way to keep up with like a field trip. If you have your bus slip, your lunch form, and your media release, you could check all that off and be like done. So you get that quick reference to that. I am in my nerdy element. So great. So that's just some simple like counting and checkboxes. I personally really like checkboxes because I'm always doing like big numbers. Another really neat thing, I know like we use JCampus, and no offense, but sometimes it really aggravates me because it gives me everybody's name in one column. What am I going to do with that? So a really cool thing, and we do this in our boot camp sometimes. Like I said, you might be familiar with this. I can split text to columns. It's right there under that data column, which is probably my favorite. I can split text to columns. It'll say detect automatically. I always tell it what my thing is. And so now, bam, I got all my stuff. I made a rule here, but right here, like I said, if you're exporting or something that the size is going to be really useless and not allow me to sort by first name or last name, which I need. it did make some extra columns for me, so you might do have to pay with that, like first and last. That's why it didn't like what I did, because it moved stuff over. But just be mindful of that, and it is super neat. But the great thing about Sheets is that you can always go back. You can go back to the last time you opened it. Like, you can hit undo, and then, like, if you've ever been like me and had somebody, not to be mean, but deleted everything but her class from a spreadsheet of about 1,000 Chromebooks, you would have learned your life lesson about using Excel for big sheets that you share, because you're also going to have that version history. And so you can always go back. So I can go to same place I would for docs. You can go to that version history and go back even before I opened it. So if somebody broke your spreadsheet, like I said, no offense to that teacher, but she really hurt my heart that day. You can always like go back prior to that. So you're like, oh my God, what did I do? Just click here and restore that version, and I can go back to where I started. Super helpful. So don't ever forget that. I feel like it's something, that's why people are so nervous about Sheets, is because they're like, oh, I hated Excel. Well, that's the feature that's better. That's way better, is that version history. All right, I'm just checking on my people. All right, so next step we're going to talk about, like I said, is the explore button. Once again, people are always so nervous about Excel. Like, don't take that with you. Like, learn, and I'm stuck in the version history, but like, use that go back skill to go from sorry, I broke the internet. I'm sitting here saying that we went and I broke it, but look, you can make mistakes and go back, but use this explore feature, because one of the things I often work with teachers about is like, got so much data and all these numbers, and like, how do I analyze it? Well, Sheets is very intuitive now. Just like all the other options at the bottom, you're gonna have that explore button. Just like everything else. I'm gonna click that explore button, and it's gonna give me some options. There's also a keyboard shortcut for it. So I'm gonna hit Option Shift X, and it's gonna kind of give me some cool options for what I can do with this data. There we go. So it'll suggest charts for me, suggest formulas. Like, how neat is that? Like, so I'm gonna go back to my student info, because I feel like that's where I would need the most data analysis, because this is where I have like all my OWLs, all my names. So that explore button is even going to suggest a pivot table. And how much does everybody hate pivot tables? Bam, right here, I can insert a pivot table, which is like, everybody hates, they always say, they make me angry. So right here, I can go ahead and break it down by year, how everybody did on that test. And it did it for me. I didn't even have to think. If I don't like it, I can delete it. So I'm going to go back to the student info and see what kind of charts it's going to suggest for me. Like I said, I know everybody hates pivot tables, but there you go. You can ask it questions. Like average of, like this. It'll start telling you like, what averages could you want. It's gonna write that for me. So like, some of the times, like, formulas really scare people. Don't try it out. Same thing for charts. I just cannot talk about this feature enough, and I feel like the explore button is something that's really underused. I don't ever need histograms. Maybe if you're doing some research or something, never have to use it. But anyway, so now I have a count on my houses. I might want to talk to the sorting hat about putting way too many people in Gryffindor. Like, we can't all be Gryffindors. Thank you. And I don't like that the colors are wrong for me. So I can go in and edit my chart and personalize it. And make sure it's my own. So like I might want to go in and change, like maybe I want it to be 3D, or this is my border. When I go into my slices, and see, I need Ravenclaw blue. Like, it almost no. Ravenclaw should be blue, but my Slytherins, I want my Slytherins to be green, and my Hufflepuffs to be yellow. Now I'm at this great chart that matches. It's really visual. There isn't a way now, as of now, to share just one of these. And I know something like I always give Google feedback. I just want to share this. You can publish it, like put it on a site and some things like that. But that's something that really does frustrate me. I do want to copy this chart because I'm going to talk about slicers. Slicers, if you're unfamiliar with Data Studio, I don't know, this might be, you're like, whatever, Bonnie, this is too much. It's not too much. But sometimes we need dynamic data, and you just have to set this up once. If you set this up the right way at the beginning of the year, you can have it where it reads all this stuff for you. So maybe on those in-service days where you're totally paying attention, but maybe you've heard about the duty schedule before, you can work on something like this. And there aren't that many people here, so I'm not mad, but you can share it with me, like shoot me an email and share it with me, and I can help you with your formulas. There's so many people out there that'll totally help you. The slicers are new. You might have not played with this yet, but it's a way to like read your data in different ways. And same thing, it will do some neat stuff here. Like, it'll kind of try to figure out. So maybe I just want to filter. I just want to see like Hufflepuff to Gryffindor. Changes for me. And I can be like, hey, sorting hat, I'm going to need something a little different. Get it together. So there are all kinds of things I can do with slicers. And you can see, like, if you had a bunch of test scores, you could filter out by year one. You can filter out all kinds of data that you don't need. If you want to, and that's all under this data. So slicers, like I said, make your data dynamic. I don't know what this one will do. I'm interested to see how it'll read my data, but let's see what it does. So I have the average of Al test 1. Okay, that's not what I want. So maybe I want year. Like, I'm going to clear this out instead. And you can see, you can just play with it. So it'll just tell me like different things. If you have like the more data you use on the chart, I just want that simple one, the more slicers you can add and fun stuff. All right. Transpose data. I can't always think of a use for this, but sometimes I want it. Like if my columns aren't in the right place, I can go in data. I found it the other day and I was like, so neat. I might go back to it. There's not, you can do this. If you ever like have stuff in the wrong place, it'll change it up for you. And I might have to type in a little help button real quick, but I always, like I said, like I have that explore button and I kind of go back to it when I, maybe I want to transpose stuff. how's that yet? So you can go in and transpose it. Just look around for that because sometimes it's like it's hidden and it's not something I use all the time. All right. So where am I at? How am I doing on time? I talked about your version history. Let's check the chat. Oh my gosh, I have somebody I love to thank you, Ms. Landry. Pivot tables, like I said, like I'm so glad some of you love it. Everybody's always scared. Pivot tables are the coolest. Look at Shannon sharing my Twitter on here. Oh, Shannon, look at all these cool people. All right, let's keep going. You know, and I don't have to take the whole time. This is stuff that's kind of next level, and just things for you to think about. If you ever really want to dive into some fun stuff, you can look up VLOOKUP and an array formula. It's kind of like that'll take me a minute. I haven't mastered it yet, but I want to start with import range. This is to me one of the most helpful things. I feel like I forget a lot whenever I use a form, and I always hit create new sheet, and then I have 50 different sheets with data that I all really need together. So right here, I have a tab at the bottom, just if you want to practice. I even created a faculty list. And this might be some data I want to import. That maybe I have a list over here. I got some of my faculty fill out a form, and then what I really need, I don't need that. I need this all in one place, so I don't always have to look around. It is kind of important. I do have some gifts for this. Is that you have to have the quotation mark. It's really important, and the comma. Other than that, super simple. But you do have to have that quotation mark and the comma. And I have this on the spell book, just in case. So once you have this up, we're all kind of familiar with that share button. You do have to have this authorized, make sure your share settings, like I said, I know this is like a few extra steps. If you're like me, you measure your life in mouse clicks. You're like, too many mouse clicks. But if you measure your life in mouse clicks, this is a few extra, but like I said, it really helps. When you import data, you can't, thank you, Google. When you import data, you can't edit it though. That is something I found very frustrating. Like once you have it there, unless you have copied and pasted it, it won't let me move it around. But what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna put, and equal, to start on my formulas, import range. Like I said, it's really important to have those quotes. Oh, there we go. So I'm gonna make sure, like I said, right here, I wanna make sure that my link is available to everybody, because if you don't have it, the permissions won't let you share. So I'm gonna copy that. And I got my quotes. I don't know why it needs quotes, but it does. I'm gonna paste it. End quote, comma. And then, like I said, if you ever want to just practice this and copy it exactly like this, that is totally fine. Sheet 1, exclamation point. I know you're like, what is this information? And then it's going to be like A1 through C30. I got to use these quotation marks all over the place. And then it will bring in the data. So now I don't have to look here, and it will live update. So if you've got a form that's populating on this sheet, it will automatically populate on this right here. So it will live update, and it's just really cool. Like I said, if you've got a bunch of sheets in a bunch of different places, and you're like, this is too much. This is a really, really great formula for that. Just a really, really important is for that data to be authorized. Have any questions? Right. I'm so bad at the math. I am the worst at the math. I was a social studies teacher. So now we're just going to jump in. I have some little extra things on here. I'm not going to take all the time. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so everybody's like ready to go. I do have some fun things here. You can also do, linked here is a Hogwarts escape room already made for you. This is from a librarian who did this, which is because librarians are librarians. You can go in here, dive in. You could make your own copy, if you wanted to, but this one's done for you. And it's just super cute. So if you ever want to play around with that, and think about how you would do this with your classroom, those are always cool. I do have some, like, if you're interested in the history of magic or celebrating Harry Potter. Also, if you're an ELA person and you can ever do this for me, I would love to see somebody use my Daily Prophet newspaper template that I found. It's just the cutest. But I've yet to have somebody make it and share it with me. It has like gifts built in, all the text and all that stuff. It's so much fun. All right. So do I have any questions in the chat? I said Shannon, I appreciate you commenting. Shannon is my ride or die. She's seen this before. If you've got any questions, reach out to me at Bonnie Shalette at ebrschools.org. I can put that in the chat or Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm blinking yellow. It's mad because it's trying to load my Daily Prophet. But if you've got any questions or you just want to share something, the barcode blow your mind. I know. Like, it's so simple. You know who showed me that? Who never shows me stuff? Principal. She was like, all I got to do is that. And I was like, I was so impressed. So yeah, just jump into any of these things. Let me know, reach out to me. Like I said, and if you're like, oh, this is not working, share it with me. And let's work on that formula together. It's a lot easier for me to just look at it than doing that. So, right, book checkouts, just anything you could use a barcode for. It's just a fun, easy. It does have to be numbers, but that's the only thing. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up a little early, because I appreciate everybody coming. I know it's the end of the day, but reach out to me. Thank you for coming. And I hope you enjoy your spell book. Practice with cheats. You can always use the version history. All right, I'm going to end this broadcast. You can always find the link right here, and hopefully I will talk to you soon.